Will robot umpires save or kill the game of baseball? Learn more in just a moment. What's going on, everyone? This is Logan Ladders with the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, joined by Jay McLovin today. Our topic, Jay, what are your thoughts on robot umpires coming to baseball? There's been a lot of talk in recent years, and it looks like in spring training at 25, we get to see the robot umps in action in the major leagues. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I really 100% hope that this comes to fruition. And look, everybody knows that I'm an old school guy. And I don't like, and I can understand people are going to have pushback on it because it feels like it gets rid of the human element of baseball. But guys, I got to tell you, the problem with it is, if you would have asked me this, a decade ago, I'd probably agree with you because the consistency of the strike zone was at a much more consistent rate. The problem I have with today, Logan, is I feel like different batters get different rules in terms of where the ball is, where the strike is. I feel like different pitchers are getting different calls versus other pitchers and what they get. I just feel like the pitching and the way we do it organically through umpires of a human nature is very subject to people's personal thoughts or where they want to call it, right? From one umpire to another. I think we've seen it in college baseball in the World Series where the manager was basically kicked out because he didn't like the ball, where it was a ball or a strike or what have you. And ultimately that decided that particular game, I feel like anyway. I just feel like the problem we have right now is consistency. We are not getting consistent strike zones from one umpire to another umpire, from one team to another team, from one pitcher to another pitcher, batter for batter, and so on. It just seems like it's open to interpretation of the umpire, and I feel like it's just too much inconsistency for us to allow this to continue. And I feel like if we introduce a robot umpire that just calls balls and strikes, that's it, we're going to have a much more consistent way of going to the plate every time, knowing what's going to be a ball and what's going to be a strike. And that's going to alleviate, I feel like, a lot of headaches and tension and stress amongst players and coaches.
Well, I obviously understand the main argument of, you're killing the tradition of the game with umpires and, but you make a good point. And you hear every so often of, it was an ump show out there. The umpire ruined that game, right? And you can always say, hey, maybe if this player did this and this player did that. But like you just mentioned with the College World Series, Jay, that just took place, do you hear anyone talking about the game itself? Or do you hear more about the umpire tripping and falling and throwing out the head coach and the first base coach for Coastal Carolina? We see this all the times in all the sports, right? The NFL, you see just flag after flag after flag or non-calls. You see plays that are clearly first downs. You see it on the screen, but then obviously, no, it's all good. So it's like, what are you doing here? And you mentioned there's a lot of personalities involved, a lot of politics involved in the game of in baseball with the umpires because, like I said, they control the game. You're behind you can call what's a ball, what's a strike. Jay, I remember personally in Atlanta back in the 90s. Remember Livan Hernandez in the game where he struck out, 15, 16 players in the playoffs? And then you watch the tape and balls are 3 feet wide. So I'm with you on this. I think that robot umps, that calling the balls and strikes, it obviously, like I said, you're going to take the human element out of it that's been there since the start of the game, but you're going to get consistent calls. You're going to get right calls. And I think that in this kind of era we're at with baseball, Jay, with all the stats and the sabermetrics and whatnot, I thought this just kind of really takes a deep dive into all that with these robot umpires and how they would stack up against the real life human ones. We've seen some of it work in, the minor leagues. They've been implementing it there in the last couple of years to kind of test it out. And now I think it's time for them to put them on the red carpet and say, all right, it's time for you to come over and take over the league. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do in spring training and here throughout. And if you're a regular umpire, man, might want to start looking on Indeed or somewhere else because I think they're coming for the jobs.
One last thing I'd like to say before we wrap up out of here. So right now, this is, like I said, it's in spring. It's going to be in spring training of 26. It's going to go into the playoffs, from what I understand, as of 26. If we don't have a lockout in 27, then we should see it get implemented in the regular season going forward. If we do get the lockout in 27, you probably won't see the robot umps in terms of the regular season until 28 at that, 28 at that point. So at the end of the day, one of the other things I really think it's going to eliminate, which is a big thing too, is framing of the pitches by the catcher. It's going to take that element out of it. So you're not going to be able to frame anymore like they have been over the last decades. Now you're going to get more accurate, very much more accurate, true balls and strikes rather than framing it and making it look like a certain kind of way. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, to be honest with you, Logan.
Yeah, a lot of strategies are going to change, right? A lot of stuff is going to be different with, we saw the ban of the shift here somewhat recently or lack thereof, and just how much baseball has really evolved into a numbers game. It always has been, but here lately, there's a stat for everything. So adding this on top of it, the sports nerds are going to be fun to watch and see how that's going to go. But I'm excited, Jay. I'm looking to see how these robot umps do. And so are they going to be dressed in full umpire regalia, or are they just going to look metallic or whatever behind the home plate? What do you think? They're going to have a good look to them at least?
That's a good question. I'm really not 100% sure what that's going to look like. I don't even think you're going to see it on the field. I think it would be something that may be a part of the backstop or whatever that's viewing it as it comes in. That would be my impersonation. But honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like a physical robot out there. It's going to be something I think integrated into it. I don't know how they're going to do it, to be honest with you. I haven't a clue. But it's got to have to be something that can't be a fixed object, because then, when the play is going on, they're going to have to work around this metal object. That would just be encumbersome. So it's going to have to be some kind of thing where it's mounted behind them. And I'm just not 100% sure how that's going to work. However it works, there's got to be some kind of camera. I'd imagine there's got to be some kind of camera strategy that's tracking it some kind of way, I would imagine.
I would say, Jay, it would be pretty sweet to watch an umpire get tossed out, or a coach get tossed out from a robot umpire. I think that would be pretty sweet. Just really just trick the minds of everyone going on. But that's our thoughts on it with robot umps. We're looking forward to it. We think it's going to help the game, but we want to hear from you, our fans, in the comment section, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, anywhere you can think of. We are there. Check out the link tree in the bio for all of that. Be sure to subscribe for more great content.